Okay, hi guys. Welcome back to Flatwater. Today's just another update video. I'm going to include a couple different things. This is just I'm just winging it. This is what I always do with my videos. I don't usually script out what I'm going to say beforehand. I just give myself a rough idea of what I want to talk to you guys about, and then go for it. I think it comes off more organically, more naturally that way. Sometimes there's mistakes, but so what? Sometimes it's better for that reason. So, anyways, carrying on from there. What I'm bringing up today is I'm addressing some of the things that you guys have brought up, or that other people have brought up, that I think are things that I should address. So one of the aspects that recently has come up is as I released the bit about the Emerald Tablets and the bit about the Truman Show, that there's been mixed reactions from a lot of people. I think that they see me releasing the bit about the Emerald Tablets as being, well, someone just specifically, we spoke about if I was a new ager, or if I promoted meditation, or parts of that new age movement, or that religion that a lot of people, the way that a lot of people see it now, is as a religion. So just to be clear on that, and this is how I answered in when I responded to them, is that I don't see anything wrong with meditation, per se, in and of itself. I think that calming oneself and being centered is a good thing. Something I need to do more of, probably, or something I used to do more of, and I need to keep doing more of, or I need to maintain it. But what I do see there, and this is the larger issue that I'm trying to get at with those videos. I was hoping people could read between the lines. I guess I need to be just very clear. Some people get angry when I'm clear, and they say, we're here to use our brains. You don't need to force feed it to us. And then some people say, I don't understand what you're saying. So this is why you'll see two versions of movies sometimes. You'll see one version for us who are up on these things and can see it, and another version for people who are newcomers to these topics, and they're saying, what is this stuff? I don't understand. So that's why you'll see multiple versions at times. Also, when you're editing, things come out differently. Sometimes you like it one way, sometimes you don't. Anyways, so moving on from this is where I think that there's some major problems between different groups of people, and this can be resolved easily. So what I'm going to show you guys today, here's my desktop, so you guys can see what I have as my background recently. So what I'm going to show you guys today here is Irvin. Irvin, probably a lot of you guys know about him. He's been on YouTube a long time. I think he's a good researcher. I like a lot of his work. What we're going to talk about is the Esalen Institute. This is an interesting thing because most of pop culture, in one way or another, over the last 100 years, has come out of the Esalen Institute and their linked parent organization, the Tavistock Institute, in London. So what I'm specifically going to get into with this is entheogens, which is a part of the New Age movement, a major part of it. It's a part of what you guys are hearing about recently, about using, trying to think of the name of it now, the drug that we all have in our brains when we sleep, the DMT, the spirit molecule. So what you'll see is there's been a tremendous link between all of pop culture, all of everything that you see in pop culture has been linked to the Tavistock Institute or the Esalen Institute in one way or another. And you can see it on this page here, if you can read this: the Huxleys, Gordon Wasson, Terence McKenna, the Esalen Institute, how Darwin, Huxley, and the Esalen Institute, mind control, and MK Ultra. So how all these things are linked is what he shows you. Now, he's created an incredible program called the Brain, and what it does is it cross-references different research patterns and different historical research narratives. So you can go to his website, Jan Irvin, or Jan Irving, and you can also find him on YouTube. And if you go there, you'll be able to find his Brain project. I have a copy of it. I'd suggest downloading it and looking through it. It's incredible. So this shows clearly how the elitists have been working through the Darwins and the Huxleys and other major families, and they've been creating our culture. So I know a lot of you conspiracy theorists will be up on this, but a lot of people new to Flat Earth won't understand what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go there and show you guys a bit of Irving's stuff. There's also another thing there that's very interesting. It's on this page. It's the trivium. The trivium is a fantastic thing. This is classical training that we never received, that the general populace stopped receiving about 100 years ago. And what this is using logic and rhetoric and decoding rhetoric and decoding people's statements to find the truth in them, and using your own logic in light of new evidence to find the truth. So I'd look up the trivium and the quadrivium and practice those things in your own life. They're very useful. So now that being that I don't have much time, I'm just going to cut into the Huxleys here and the Brain Project.
Welcome, this is Gnostic Media, and we're doing a Turn the Tables episode today. And I, Sarah, am going to be interviewing Jan about his recent article on the Huxley family and how their influence is seen today. So, the title of your recent article is How Darwin, Huxley, and the Esalen Institute Launched the 2012 and Psychedelic Revolutions and Began One of the Largest Mind Control Operations in History. So let's start with Aldous and then move on to his brother Julian and then to their grandfather Thomas. Starting with Aldous, in an interview from 1958, which is available on YouTube, Mike Wallace begins with the following introduction. This is Aldous Huxley, a man haunted by a vision of hell on earth. A searing social critic, Mr. Huxley 27 years ago wrote Brave New World, a novel that predicted that someday the entire world would live under a frightful dictatorship. Today, Mr. Huxley says that this fictional world of horror is probably just around the corner for all of us. Mike Wallace asks him who and what are the enemies of freedom here in the United States, and Aldous answers, well, I don't think that you can say who in the United States. I don't think there are any sinister persons deliberately trying to rob people of their freedom, but I do think there are a number of impersonal forces pushing in the direction of less and less freedom. Aldous goes on to say that those impersonal forces are overpopulation and technology. What is your opinion on this?
Well, I find Huxley's entire comment ironic because, well, first of all, Huxley, in his book, The Brave New World, essentially outlines what this governmental system would look like, and having 4 or 5 different types of population, the alphas, the betas, etc. And each of these different groups are sort of this outline that these elites have in mind. And Huxley goes on to say that there is no person or group that is behind this, which is pure irony, because when we get into Huxley's background as well as his brother Julian, we see that they are 2 of the key people behind running mind control operations and implementing this very sort of governmental system that Huxley is talking about. So, in fact, what Huxley is doing there is he is presenting a sort of controlled opposition, where his brother is doing one thing and he is out pretending to talk against it and saying that, oh yes, you know, I have a lot of fear that, or trepidation that these things are going to happen sometime in the future if we're not careful. And so his brother is putting out the evolution, eugenics, and humanism in his books, how this is to happen. And then Huxley is putting the same thing out in his novels, while at the same time he is running the Esalen Institute up in Big Sur, Northern California, where in fact these operations are dispensated out to the public. And so it's a bit of tongue-in-cheek there by Aldous.
Indeed. So let's move on to Aldous' brother Julian, and I'm going to read I'm going to read from Wikipedia what it says on Julian. Sir Julian Sorrel Huxley was an English evolutionary biologist, eugenicist, and internationalist. He was a proponent of natural selection and a leading figure in the mid-20th century evolutionary synthesis. He was secretary of the Zoological Society of London from 1935 to 1942, the first director of UNESCO, and a founding member of the World Life Fund. Huxley was well known for his presentation of science in books and articles and on the radio and television. He directed an Oscar-winning wildlife film. He was awarded UNESCO's Kalinga Prize for the popularization of science in 1953, the Darwin Medal of the Royal Society in 1956, and the Darwin-Wallace Medal of the Linneal Society in 1958. He was also knighted in the same year, 1958. 100 years after Charles Darwin and Alfred Russel Wallace announced the theory of evolution by natural selection, in 1959 he received a special award of the Lasker Foundation in the category Planned Parenthood, World Population. Huxley was a prominent member of the British Eugenics Society and its president from 1959 to 1962. What else can you tell us about Julian?
Well, Julian, it's kind of interesting. Julian's got, as you just pointed out, a really interesting history tied in with eugenics and with humanism, with Planned Parenthood. And for those who've seen the documentary film MAFA 21, M-A-A-F-A, numbers 21, they can see exactly how Planned Parenthood is tied into these eugenics programs and how Planned Parenthood targets intentionally poor neighborhoods and things like this. And of course, the illusion that the elites want to create is that it's the poor people that are causing all of the problems. Meanwhile, it's the elites themselves who create the poverty, who create the pollution and the overconsumption and marketing through Madison Avenue, and they also create this entire dumbing down of the population that they then go and, and I should back up for a second and say that John Taylor Gatto in his work has covered extensively how the entire education system has been dumbed down. And many of these people tie in directly to the Huxleys. For instance, Gordon Wasson, he was involved in there's a book from Oxford University called The Compromised Campus. And in there it discusses Wasson along with Alan Dulles working on these programs to dumb down the college education systems. And in fact, Wasson was friends with Aldous Huxley. But aside from Gatto's research on how they're dumbing down the education, Julian Huxley is behind these promotions. He and his grandfather, Thomas Huxley, were both presidents of the Royal Society, which, as you pointed out, is heavily tied into eugenics and all of these different eugenics programs. And in fact, we can get into exactly how some of...
So what we were able to see very obviously here is that these families have been connected from the start, that evolution and all the other areas major in science have been connected to these families. They've been running a game. They've combined it with the creation, it's called Operation Culture Creation. They've been creating our culture for us. That would be up to and including the alien agenda, all the music that we've been watching for the past 50 years, evolution, and the New Age movement. And so that about covers what I wanted to cover in this bit. I'm going to include a few more clips of this Gnostic media stuff shortly. I think it's worthwhile for you guys to see this stuff. Thanks very much. Ciao.